I want to flip the psychology about rising house prices, especially for first home buyers. Now, it used to be that you had to get 20% deposit to get into the market at a minimum. And then we brought in sort of lender's mortgage insurance and you could borrow more than 80%. And eventually government schemes started coming in to bulk up what you could do with smaller and smaller deposits relative to the size of the purchase price. So now you can get government funded schemes or government guaranteed schemes, which allow you to get in with as little as 5%, as little as 2% deposit, as well as a stamp duty concession. And all of this amounts to being able to get the required deposit together faster and not have to pay huge penalties, such as the increased interest rate and such as the lender's mortgage insurance in the process. Now, what does this mean for first home buyers? How can I turn this into some kind of optimistic output? Well, the great thing about housing as an investment class generally, even as your owner occupied house, is that you leverage your capital. So when you buy an investment, let's say it's shares, and you put in 100% of your own cash and those shares make 10%, that's 10% on your own cash, right? So your return is 10%. Now let's say you borrowed 90% and you put in only 10% of your own cash. And then that stock, that investment made 10%. Effectively, you have doubled your input. Of course, when you sell that, you need to pay back the 90%, and then you're left with the 10% that you originally put in and the 10% return. But the point is, the return on your capital has gone from 10% in the first instance to 100% in the second instance. That's leverage. Leverage has risks, of course. It's not to be used everywhere. It's to be used cautiously. However, in housing, especially when supply is lower than demand and will be for some time, it's a fairly safe asset class. So optimistically, first home buyers are leveraging into the housing market more than any other person in Australian history. They can get in with 5%, 2% deposits, less money down, and still capture the return that comes from that housing market. It's getting on the ladder in a different way. I hope that gives some level of hope for first home buyers. Some of the advice here we talk about at Mountway is to just get in and then you're on your way, because those returns, those leverage returns, will keep you going to the next and biggest thing. For more real life, practical and optimistic tips on finance, click the link in bio.